Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to start off by saying Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Ahaya. Tonight's lesson will be a recap on World War III. Tonight's lesson will be a recap on World War III. And the reason why I wanted to go back into it, we touched this information in February, where we did part 1 and part 2. And I believe I said back then that this war was going to be close upon us within months. So 6 months later, not even 6 months later, we're in October now. So 8 months later, it's looking like it's getting closer and closer. I don't know if you've been watching the news or not, but it's here. And what I mean that is here, the instigator, the big bad bully, is pushing buttons. He said, I'm gonna push every button to see who's gonna stop me. Who's the bully? Mr. Put. So I wanted to recap some of the stuff we've already gone over, just so you can see how serious this is and how real it is. So the Spirit said, hey, go touch it again so they can see that this is real. Prophecy through these scriptures are for real. Whether you want to believe it or not, or whether you want to follow it or not, whether you say, hey, I'm not going to follow that because you don't want it to happen. Who wants World War III to happen? And especially when the country you live in is going to be at the bottom of it. So like I said, whether you believe it or not, whether you want it to happen or not, it's going to happen. The prophecies through this Bible is going to happen. And I've been telling you guys for over a year and a half, 2 years now, that the participants in this war is Russia, China, and Iran, and other people that's going to help. I've been telling y'all that for a while now. And when you look at everything that's going on, who's involved? Okay? So like I say, whether you want to believe it or not, actually let's start off in Romans 3 tonight so I can show people, regardless on what they believe, or regardless on if they believe the scriptures or not, the scriptures, the prophecy through the scriptures is going to come into effect. And another reason why I wanted to touch this is because everybody in Israel, all the Israelites who's been woken up to this truth, 90% of them dealing with World War III are waiting on Iran to do something. 90% of the Israelites that have been woken up to the truth, they are sitting back waiting on Iran because that's what they've been taught. They've been taught that Iran is the big bad macho of this war, and it's not. When you read Ezekiel, it tells you who's the big bad macho. And now that you see the big bad macho moving, now it's time to say, hey, it's about to happen. But if you don't understand the scriptures on what this is talking about, you're going to be sitting around waiting on Iran, and before you know it, boom. Romans 3:1.
We're in the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1, and it reads, What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision?
So I asked, the question is What advantage then had the Jew? What type of advantage does the Jews have? That's what it's asking. Verse 2.
Verse 2. Much every way, chiefly, because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High.
So what advantage does the Jews have? Every way. That's what it says. Every way possible is the advantage that they have. Why? Because unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High. And what are the oracles? This Bible. The Bible was committed to the Jews. So the Jews can come to you and prophesy. Who are the Jews? We're part of the Jews, sitting up here from the tribe of Judah. Israelites. But it says much every way. So all the ways, any way, every way is the advantage that they have. Because they have this King James Bible here that they can read and send out the prophecies of the Most High. Verse 3.
We're in the book of Romans chapter 3 verse 3, and it says, for what if some did not believe?
So what if some of these people don't believe these prophecies that's coming out of this Bible? Go ahead.
Shall their unbelief make the faith of a higher without effect?
So just because they believe, does it make these prophecies coming out of this Bible not true? So their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect. So Ahia said this is going to happen through the prophecy of the Bible, and some people are like, well, I don't believe that. So just because they don't believe it, does that mean it's not going to happen? No. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Romans chapter 3 verse 4, and it reads, the Most High forbid.
Ahia says no. Just because they don't believe does not mean it's not going to go into effect. It will. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let Ahia be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and might overcome when thou art judged.
So Ahia forbid. Ahia says no. Just because they don't believe doesn't mean it's not going to come true. Let Ahia be true. Let the words of this Bible, the prophecies, be true, but every man a liar, as it is written. So some people are not going to believe that World War III is going to happen and that America is going to be the bottom half of this. But when you read everything that's going on, even outside of the scriptures, it's showing you that America is going to be at the bottom. There's nothing they can do. Okay, so let's get into the scriptures. Let's get into the lesson. So grab your phones. We're going to read this article real quick. Grab your phones. Let's read the article. So tonight's lesson is called The Recap of World War III. And go to Google and put in Pentagon, Pentagon, weighs, W like weigh, like I'm weighing something, WEIGHS. Pentagon weighs using force to protect U.S. backed Syria. Pentagon weighs using force to protect U.S. backed Syria. Did that pull up? Give everybody a few seconds to pull it up. Pentagon weighs, WEIGHS, using force to protect U.S. backed Syria. Okay. Go ahead.
So we're at the beginning of the article. Pentagon weighs using force to protect U.S.-backed Syria. And it reads, senior U.S. military leaders and defense officials are debating whether military force should be used to protect Washington-backed Syrian rebels who have come under attack by Russian airstrikes in recent days.
So, the very first sentence says, senior U.S. military leaders and defense officials are debating whether military force should be used to protect Washington-backed Syrian rebels. So, Washington-backed Syrian rebels means Obama has put money into some of the rebels that are over there in Syria fighting against Assad. Obama and the Pentagon has put money and trained these guys over the last couple of years to take down Assad. But over the last few days, these guys have come under attack by Russia. Russia said enough is enough. Let's end this. And you know, this has been like a civil war in Syria for the last 4.5 years. And 4 years ago, when this first broke out, Obama and the Pentagon says, we're going to run up in there on Assad and take him out. And they had put the draft together to go to the UN and say, hey, we're about to go in and take Assad out. Who's backing us? And everybody said they back them except China and Russia. China and Russia said, nah, we don't back you on this. This is 4 years ago. You better not go in there and mess with Assad. So America held tight. They didn't do it. But then months ago, Big Bad Obama says, forget this. We're going to put money into the Turkish fighters, into the Syrian rebels, train them so they can take Assad out. That was a month ago. And the moment they did so, now we have Russia coming in, killing those guys off, saying, hey, didn't we tell y'all to leave Assad alone? Basically. Okay. Read the second paragraph.
Next paragraph. It reads, the Associated Press reported early Friday that the question was part of a broader debate within the Pentagon about the broader dilemma of how the administration should respond to what White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest described as Russia's indiscriminate military operation against the Syrian opposition. Tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating over Russian airstrikes that are serving to strengthen Syrian President Bashar Assad. By targeting the so-called moderate rebels rather than hitting Islamic State ISIS fighters, it promised to attack.
Okay, so it says that tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating. Okay? So it says the tensions are getting to a point to where this is getting out of control. It's escalating. Escalating means it's getting here. And it's getting there rapid. Over the last few days. You want to go grab that? Probably the couch. Tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating over Russian airstrikes that are serving to strengthen Syrian President Assad. So it tells you that the airstrikes that Russia is doing is protecting Assad. Okay? So now you have what's called a split. Okay? What's the split? The split is that you have America, who's trying to take down Assad, and now you have Russia and Putin, who's coming in and protecting Assad. So now Assad is in the middle. You have America attacking from this side and Russia protecting from this side. And if Russia is protecting him and America's attacking, what's eventually going to happen? Something's going to happen. That's like me protecting my wife. Okay? We out somewhere and I'm protecting her. And then someone on the other side comes and tries to mess with her. What am I going to do eventually? I'm going to take care of that individual. So you have America who's attacking Assad, and now Russia over the last few days have come in and did airstrikes to where they're protecting Assad, say leave him alone. And big bad America, we know they don't back down from too much. Read that last. Let them know where you at for the newcomers that just came in.
We're in the third paragraph under the title Pentagon Weighs Using Force to Protect U.S.-Backed Syria. So that's on the Google. If you Google Pentagon Weighs Using Force to Protect U.S.-Backed Syria, we're in the third paragraph.
All right, go ahead.
You want to read it again?
Yeah, third paragraph.
It says, tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating over Russian airstrikes that are serving to strengthen Syrian President Bashar Assad by targeting the so-called moderate rebels rather than hitting Islamic State, better known as ISIS, fighters it promised to attack.
So we all know Putin and Obama met about a week and a half ago, right? Not even that long ago, about a week ago, Putin and Obama met, and it shows pictures of them two shaking hands. Okay, and now and through that meeting, I guess Obama was trying to get Russia to agree that, hey, we all can go into Syria and take out ISIS, go into the Middle East and take out ISIS. But now Putin, it just said right here, he's supposed to be in there attacking ISIS, and he's attacking the rebels that the Americans trained to take down Assad. So now what's really going on? That's going against the agreement. If America and Russia agreed, hey, let's go into Syria, let's go into the Middle East and take out ISIS. Now that Russia's gotten involved, they're not even doing anything. Read that last part where it says Bashar Assad by targeting the so-called moderate. Go ahead.
Syrian President Bashar Assad by targeting the so-called moderate rebels rather than hitting ISIS, Islamic State fighters it promised to attack.
So they promised to help go in and take down ISIS. But now Russia is in there doing a totally different thing. Go ahead.
We're in the fourth paragraph, and it reads, Turkey Foreign Minister says Ankara and its allies in the U.S.-led coalition are calling on Russia to immediately cease attacks on the Syrian opposition and to focus on fighting Islamic State militants.
So now they says Russia needs to cease attacks on the Syrian opposition, which are the rebels that are going against Assad, and need to focus on ISIS. Go ahead.
We are in the fifth paragraph, and it says, meanwhile, a joint statement by the United States, France, Germany, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Britain expressed concern over Russia's military action, saying they will only fuel more extreme and radicalization. The text of the statement was released by the Turkish foreign minister on Friday and confirmed by the French foreign ministry.
So it says that the United States, France, Germany, Qatar, Saudi Arabia are concerned. They are concerned with the actions of the Russians military. It's with Russia going in and now being in Syria and doing airstrikes, it tells you that these places have a concern now. What's the concern? The concern is that they know now that Russia's involved in any type of military action, they already know that this war is getting closer and closer. That's why it says they have a concern. Read the last paragraph.
We are in the sixth paragraph, and it reads, the Pentagon on Thursday had its first conversation with Russian officials in an effort to avoid any unintended Russian-U.S. confrontations.
So they says they had their first conversation. First conversation with Russian officials. So the Pentagon, which is the U.S., on Thursday, which is yesterday, had their first conversation with Russian officials in an effort to avoid any unintended U.S.-Russian confrontations. Go ahead.
As the airstrikes continue in the skies over Syria, during the video call, Alicia Slotkin, who represented the U.S. side, expressed America's concern that Russia is targeting areas where there are few, if any, ISIS forces operating.
So the deal was, hey, Russia, let's go in and take out ISIS. And it says Russia is targeting areas where there is few or no ISIS people in that area. Go ahead.
Slotkin is the acting assistant secretary of defense for international security affairs.
So, the article we just read basically starts off by saying U.S. military leaders and defense officials are debating whether military force should be used to protect Washington-backed Syrian rebels. What are Washington-backed Syrian rebels? Rebels that the U.S. and the CIA have trained to take down Assad. But it says they are debating if they should send military force in to protect those guys. Why? Because these guys have come under attack by Russia over the last recent days. So now if they decide to protect these guys, guess what? They're automatically in a war with Russia. So it's here. So that's why we're talking about this again tonight, because we went over this in February. World War I, World War III Part 1 and Part 2. I suggest you guys go get on YouTube and watch those videos. It's here. All right, I'm going to give you another article. Go to your Google. The next article is Obama, semicolon, Russia heading for QUAGMIRE, Quagmire in Syria. Obama, semicolon, Russia heading for Quagmire, QUAGMIRE in Syria. Give them the definition of a quagmire.
We have the word quagmire. Quagmire?
Quagmire, or it could be Mari, like sometimes that's how it's spelled. Go ahead.
A situation that is hard to deal with or get out of. A situation that is full of problems.
So, quagmire or quagmire, a situation that is hard to deal with or get out of. A situation that is full of problems. That's what that word means. A situation that is full of problems. Read the article.
This article is stated, Washington CNN, President Barack Obama said Friday that
That's today. Friday means today. Not 2 weeks ago, not a month ago. Friday is talking about today. Go ahead.
President Obama said Friday he was willing to work with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on moving Syria away from civil war, but only if that plan includes removing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad from power.
So Barack Obama said today, okay, now that Russia's gotten involved, I'm willing to work with Vladimir Putin only if it includes taking Assad from power. That's not going to happen. Putin already said 4 years ago that he wants Assad to stay right where he is, so that's not going to happen. See, let me show you the trickery with Obama. He's full of it. He's already went to Putin 4 years ago and says, hey, let's work out a deal to remove him from power. And Putin said no, along with China's prime minister. So now, this is the scary cat of America. Scary cat. And we're going to get to how scary they are. We already went over this in World War III, Part 2. So instead of him doing something, he says, all right, well, he tells the American people, well, I'm going to put in a plan to talk to Putin to see if we can come together on removing Assad. Paragraph 2.
Second paragraph in the article, Obama heading for a quagmire, and it reads, in the absence of that, he warned that Russia's air campaign against Syria would only lead to further bloodshed for the war-torn country and bog down Moscow. Russia, he predicted during a White House press conference, would get stuck in a quagmire, adding, it just won't work, and they're going to stay there for a while. Saying, Syria's civil war doesn't directly involve the United States, but instead pits Assad's forces against the rebel groups. Obama admitted elements of his strategy had failed. A plan to train and equip opposition forces, which resulted in only a handful of trainees, did not work the way it was supposed to, Obama said.
So this is those rebels we're talking about. Obama and them trained some rebels to go against Assad, and he finally admitted today that that didn't work. He says that didn't work. All right? Go ahead.
But asked whether he now backs no-fly zones in Syria, which his former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton recommended this week during her presidential campaign, he warned against easy, low-cost answers to ending the war. Asked to respond directly to her suggestion, he said that one person's perspective changes when president. I think Hillary Clinton would be the first to say that when you're sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in the Situation Room, things look a little bit different. Because she's been right there next to me, he said. He also said, I think there's a difference between running for president and being president.
So now he's looking for excuses why his strategies are failing. It's not easy being in my seat. Hillary Clinton should know that, if anybody know that. She was the Secretary of Defense just a few years ago. She should know that it's not easy being in this seat. So now he's looking for some sympathy from the people. Okay, go ahead.
Instead, Obama insisted that the only situation was diplomatic.
Solution was diplomatic.
Raising the possibility of broken deal to remove Assad from power.
Yeah.
Obama's comments come after a scramble by his administration to respond to Russia's strikes, which began 2 days after the president met Putin at the United Nations.
So the moment Putin and Obama met, 2 days later this happened. And when they met, they were shaking hands as if everything was all right. Then 2 days later, Russia is striking in Syria. Last paragraph.
It reads, Obama's aides emerged from the meeting confident Putin was committed to defeating ISIS in Syria.
Read it again.
Obama's aides emerged from the meeting confident Putin was committed to defeating ISIS in Syria.
So when they had the meeting Putin and Obama, after the meeting, Obama's aides, his people, left the meeting confident that they were about to go into Syria and take down ISIS together. Go ahead.
But after the airstrikes began, the U.S. and Russian planes were instead targeting areas held by rebel forces opposed to Assad rather than ISIS terrorists.
So they were now fighting the rebels versus the ISIS terrorists. So now the U.S. is like, hey, we agreed to take out ISIS. But Putin is doing the opposite. All right? Let's read one more article. Give them the title of that so they can put that in.
The title of the article is Iran Troops to Join Syria War, comma. Russia bombs group trained by CIA. Give it to you again. Iran troops to join Syria war, comma. Russia bombs group trained by CIA.
I told him one more time.
Iran troops to join Syria war, comma. Russia bombs group trained by CIA.
All right. Go ahead. Y'all get that? All right, go ahead.
Hundreds of Iranian troops have arrived in Syria to join a major group offense in support of President Bashar al-Assad.
So let's stop right there. So it tells you right here that hundreds of Iranian troops have arrived in Syria to join a major ground offense in support of Assad's government. So now Iran's involved. Okay? Russia got there earlier this week, and they didn't get there to talk. They didn't even come in and say, all right, we just, you know how U.S. has been doing it lately? All right, the U.S. has arrived to the border of such and such, and they're there waiting like a scare tactic. Those days are over with. Russia said, we ain't coming to play. They come right in, and the moment they get there, they send missiles. And then days later, Iran, let's go. So now Iran is on their way. These guys are not playing. They're getting straight down to what their mission is. And their mission is to take over and push America out the door. And dare America to act like they gonna do something. Y'all have to understand what's going on. America has strongholds in all these areas, and they run this area, the Middle East. Guess what? Russia's about to change all that. Russia's about to come in and take over, and dare America to step up and offend what's and defend what's yours. America is not the biggest power no more. What we've known and what we've seen, big bad America over everything. Russia is showing us right now that the backing of Iran and China, they are taking over. And dare America to step up and say this is ours. So now, when you look at your movies, showing you China and Russia invading America, and people are like, how is that going to happen? America's too big and bad. I'm showing you right now. They punking America, taking over, and then when they want to, when they say, all right, now it's time to when they take over everything in the Middle East that America owns, then they say, you know what? Let's just take over America. All right, read that again.
It says, hundreds of Iranian troops have arrived in Syria to join a major ground offense in support of President Bashar al-Assad's government. Lebanese sources said on Thursday a sign the civil war is turning still more regional and global in scope.
So the civil war that's happening in Syria is turning more regional and global. That means it's becoming more worldly. Verse 2, paragraph 2. Go ahead.
Russian warplanes, in a second day of strikes, bombed a camp run by rebels trained by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency.
CIA is on America's side. They help and train these guys. That's Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. So it says Russian warplanes bombed the camp ran by rebel-trained U.S. CIA agencies. Go ahead.
The group's commander said putting Moscow and Washington on opposing sides in a Middle East conflict for the first time since the Cold War.
Hold up. It's the Cold War. That's World War II. The Cold War was World War II. And something happened in the Cold War to make these two go to war. Right? Something happened that both sides didn't like, and they went to war. So it tells you right here that it says this is the first time that these two have had some type of conflict in the Middle East since the Cold War. Since the Cold War, they've been on their sides, they've been here, you've been here, we've been separate. This is the first time that these two have been back in some type of conflict together in the Middle East. That lets you know that that same thing that bounced off World War II is about to happen again, because they're back in the same area again and they're like this. Now somebody's got to bark, somebody's got to back down, something's got to happen. And right now America's backing down and Putin's barking. Go ahead.
We're in the third paragraph, and it says, senior U.S. and Russian officials spoke for just over an hour by secure video conference on Thursday, focusing on ways to keep air crews safe. The Pentagon said as the two militaries carry out parallel campaigns with competing objectives. We made crystal clear that at a minimum, the priority here should be the safe operation of the air crews over Syria, Pentagon spokesman Peter Cook said. Two Lebanese sources told recruiters hundreds of Iranian troops have reached Syria in the past 10 days with weapons to mount a major ground offense.
Major ground see, listen. All right, this is not no no civil war thing. If it was civil war, it wouldn't use the word major ground offense. Major ground offense means they're coming in to take over. They're coming in to shut it down. America, get out of here. Get your rebels that you trained, you and the CIA, and get on up out of here right now. And if you don't, you got hours or two before we start bombing on y'all. This is getting serious, like real quick. No time to waste. No handshakings. No nothing. The handshaking was done a few days ago. And what the Bible say? When they show peace, destruction is close behind. And look, just a few days ago, Obama and Putin shaking hands. Actually, let's go to his First Thessalonians 5:3. Let's go to it real fast. Hold your spot at the article. And let's go to First Thessalonians 5:3 so we can show you what happened. Okay? A few days ago, you have Obama and Putin at the UN shaking hands, basically showing the world that everything's good between them. Because over the last year or so, it's been conflict between Russia and the United States, and everybody knows this. So now, when you see on TV, you see Russia's president and our president shaking hands. Everybody like, oh, everything's good. So it makes you feel comfortable. You see how they play the game? See, everybody's been on edge a little bit the last year, like, dang, Russia and China, you know. But then when you see them two shaking hands, you're like, yeah, okay, everything cool. Yeah, we good. We can live on. They try to show you peace through their vain minds. They're vain. Vanity runs deep in their minds. They wicked. Read it.
We're in the book of First Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 3. And it reads, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape."
So it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. And that's what we're about to see. They show us through the media and through TV that there's peace, there's safety, but destruction is close behind. Go back to the article that we was at. All right, go back to the fifth paragraph again. Go ahead.
Two Lebanese sources told recruiters hundreds of Iranian troops have reached Syria in the past 10 days with weapons to mount a major ground offense. They would also be backed by Assad's Lebanese Hezbollah allies and by Shiite militia fighters from Iraq, while Russia would provide air support.
So now you got Assad's guys along with Iranian troops. So you got Assad's troops and Iranian troops on the ground. And then you got Russia with the air support. So Russia's clearing the way. Russia's coming through, boom, boom, taking them out and giving them a path to come through with the guns and all the military action. Y'all see what's going on here? Read the next one.
The vanguard of Iranian ground forces began arriving in Syria. Soldiers and officials specifically to participate in this battle. They are not advisors. We mean hundreds with equipment and weapons. They will be followed by more, one of the sources said.
So they said, listen, we have hundreds of Iranians with weapons and equipment. And hey, by the way, there are more coming. These guys are coming in. This is turning into a full-blown war. They ain't just bringing in, Obama 6 months ago. Okay, I'm going to send in 200 of our special agents. And they're not going to war. They're just going to be special agents. Right? And what that Obama said about 6 months ago? Playing. Listen, these guys said, we ain't sending no special agents. We sending in troops with weapons, and we're going to send more. Go ahead.
So far, direct Iranian military support for Assad has come mostly in the form of military advisors. Iran has also mobilized Shiite militia fighters, including Iraq's and some of Afghans, to fight alongside Syrian government forces.
So it says the Iranian military who support Assad has come mostly in the form of military advisors. Iran has also mobilized Shiite militant fighters, which include Iraqis, basically, and some Afghans, to a fight along the Syrian government. So now Iran has Iraq and Afghan to fight in this. Look how big this is going to get. We talked about this before, haven't we? All right, let me refresh y'all. Read that again while I find the precept for this.
It says the vanguard. No, it says so far, direct Iranian military support for Assad has come mostly in the form of military advisors. Iran has also mobilized Shiite militia fighters, including Iraqis and some Afghans, to fight alongside Syrian government forces.
So you have Russia. You have Russia. You have Iran. Okay. You have Iraq. Now you have Afghan. Okay. You have this many people involved. Hold your spot. And let's go to Revelations 9 and 14. So now you have a lot of people involved. Okay? We have a lot of people involved right now. And it's only going to get bigger. Okay? It's only going to get bigger. Read Revelations 9 and 14.
We're in the book of Revelations, chapter 9, verse 14, and it reads, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Verse 15.
So it says in Revelations 9 and 14, saying to the sixth angel. All right, now this is key. See, this is what people don't understand. All right, this is where the prophecy of the scriptures kick in. Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. All right, Google. So grab your phones and Google Great River Euphrates. Google Great River Euphrates. All right. And go to images. And see what it gives you. Great River Euphrates. Go to images. All right. The very first one, whichever one you grab the first one though. You can grab the first one. All right, the first picture. Make it big. And what does it show you? Where it shows you a line of the great rivers Euphrates River, and where is it going? It's coming from Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Right? Y'all see that? Now, so go back to the article we was reading real quick. So hold our spot right there in Revelations. Then go back to the article we was reading. Read it again. So far, direct. Go ahead.
So far, direct Iranian military support for Assad has come mostly in the form of military advisors. Iran has also mobilized Shiite militia fighters, including Iraqis and some of Afghans, to fight alongside Syrian forces.
So this is what you see. The great rivers of Euphrates, the four angels are being loose. Now go to Revelations 9 and 14, because now that we look at the great rivers of Euphrates, it shows all these guys that they just said. Iraq, Afghan, Syria, along with Iran. All these guys are now becoming one major army, along with Russia, which is what we just seen in this photo. When you look at the photo, it shows you all these guys in the great rivers Euphrates. Read Revelations 9 and 15.
We're in the book of Revelations, chapter 9, verse 15, and it reads, "And the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men."
Go ahead.
Verse 16, "And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them." Verse 17.
So 200,000. That's the number of these guys. That's at the end of all this. It's going to be a big number. All right, but the number is going to grow because you're going to have all these different countries coming together. Okay. Go back to the article. Let's finish out that article so we can get through the rest of the information. Go ahead.
It says, Moscow said it had hit Islamic State positions, but the area it struck near the city of Hama and Homs are mostly held by a rival insurgent alliance, which, unlike Islamic State, is supported by U.S. allies, including Arab states and Turkey.
Okay. So we got one more article we're gonna go into, but let's hold on. Let's find out what's happening. Let's go to Jeremiah 51 and 13. So America, big bad America, they run the Middle East. They run everything because they've taken over everything. Okay, over decades and decades, America is going in, war on this place. They've taken over, so they own all this land. They own all these places. But now they're starting to lose power. We see Russia coming in, bringing Iran, bringing Iraq, bringing Afghan, bringing all these guys in and taking over. America's losing power. Read Jeremiah 51 and 13.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 13. And it reads, "O thou that dwellest upon many waters."
O thou that dwellest upon many waters is talking about America. So when you go to the Middle East, America has a military base everywhere in the Middle East except Iran. Syria, military base. Turkey, a military base. Iraq, a military base. Everywhere you go, they have a military base somewhere, a U.S. embassy. Everywhere. So that's what it means. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, America, you dwellest upon many waters with your U.S. embassies. Go ahead.
Abundant in treasure.
You have all the treasure. You have the oil. You have the money. From having all these U.S. embassies everywhere, you're abundant in treasures. Go ahead.
Thine end is come.
Huh?
Thine end is come.
America, your end is come. You have embassies everywhere. You have all this money. You have the oil. You have everything. Your end has come. Go ahead.
And the measure of thy covetousness.
Bruh, skip down to verse 44. So the Most High says, hey, big bad America, you dwell everywhere. U.S. embassies, treasure, you have gold, you have oil. Your end has come. And that's what we see right now. We see the end of America. Big bad America. Listen, 15 years ago, if this would have happened in America, it would have already said, send them in, let's go to war right now, no questions asked. But not this time around. America ain't, they end has come. They know their place now. They know they need to step back and chill, because they know if they try to do anything, it's too many people against them. No one is on America's side no more. So that's why they're not doing nothing. Usually America go to the UN and say, hey, I want to put an end to this. Who's backing me? Great Britain. Everybody would jump on America's side. But now America's in this on their own. Nobody's going to back America. Verse 44.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 44. It reads, "And I will push Baal in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he had swallowed up. And the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Ye, the wall of Babylon shall fall."
The nations shall not flow together anymore. So all the nations used to come through America. China, Russia, Iran, Iraq, the UN. Everybody came through America, and it was a good flowing machine. But it says, and the nations shall not flow together anymore unto him. So now these nations, which is him, which is America, the nations are not going to flow no more when it comes to this place. They're going to go flow on their own together and leave America out. And that's what we have. All right? That's what we have. Go to Jeremiah 50 and 9. So this is what we're seeing. We're seeing America lose their power right before our eyes, you guys. What you've been taught in school, America can't be touched, nothing can happen. Right before our eyes, America's losing their power. Jeremiah 50 and 9, go ahead.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 9, and it reads, For, lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From hence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain.
So it says, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, great nations from the north country. Okay? Outside of North America, when you go to the Middle East, see, you got to understand the Bible prophecy is talking about anything when it's coming north, the north country coming against somebody. It's talking about north country in the Middle East. Go to Google and put in, well, actually, no. You know what? Just go to the, go back to the map we have with the Great Rivers Euphrates. Go back to that same map you had. Great Rivers Euphrates. Great Euphrates River. Y'all have that back up? You have the Euphrates River, right? What's north of the Euphrates River? Okay. All right. That was simple, huh? Russia. Russia is north. So this north country that's being spoken of in Jeremiah 50 and 9, great nations from the north country shall come against her, is talking about Russia. Okay? Let's go to Ezekiel 38 and 2. So now that the scriptures has told us the great nations from the north country is going to come against her, and we see Russia doing what they're doing, the prophecy of these scriptures is making sense. And like we started off in tonight with Romans 3 and 1, regardless if you believe it or not, it's going to go into effect. Ezekiel 38 and 2, go ahead.
We're in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 2, and it reads, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Verse 3. And say, Thus said the Most High Ahiah, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal.
Okay, so let's break down Gog. Give them the Fawcett dictionary for the word Gog. So it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Break down Gog in the Fawcett dictionary.
We have the word Gog coming out of the Fawcett dictionary, and it reads, Gog is the ideal head of Magog, the land and people. Also prince of Rosh, Roxolani.
So it says Gog is the ideal head. So Gog is the head, which is the leader of Magog, the land of the people. So Magog is the land and the people, but Gog is the head of Magog. And Gog is who?
Also prince of Rosh.
Okay, so Gog is also the prince of Rosh. Let's break down Rosh. Go ahead.
Roxolani. Meshach is Mochi, and Tubal is Tiberini. The chief prince, prince of Rosh, the Scythian, Turai. The names resemble Russia and Moscow.
So it tells you that Rosh resembles Russia and Meshach resembles Moscow. Okay? Read the rest. But
Slavi and Wayans were the ancient names of Russia.
So it tells you that Gog, which is Prince Rosh, that's what it says. Gog is Prince Rosh, which is Russia. And Meshach is Moscow. Where is Moscow at? In Russia, right? Okay. So it's telling you right here. Read Ezekiel 38:2 again.
We're in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 2, and it reads, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Verse 3, and say, Thus say the Most High Ahiah, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal.
So the chief prince of Moscow. That's what it says. The chief prince of Moscow. Who's the chief prince? The chief prince is Rosh, which is Russia. So Russia is in Moscow, right? So it's clear as day. It was telling you who Gog is. Okay? So let's go back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 30, verse 4.
We're in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 4, and it reads, And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Verse 5. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets.
So it tells you that the people that are going to be with Gog, all right, which is the chief prince of Rosh, will be Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them. Break down Persia.
We have the word Persia, and it is an ancient empire extending from the Indus to Thrace, and from the Caspian Sea to the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf.
So it says the Persia goes from the Caspian Sea, all right, the Red Sea, all the way to the Persian Gulf. Now, if you just take that and put that in Google, so if you go put the Caspian Sea to the Red Sea in Google, see what it gives you. The Caspian Sea to the Red Sea. What does it give you? Anybody? No? When you put in the Caspian Sea to the Red Sea and go to images, what does it give you? gives you Iran. Iran is right there. See where the Caspian Sea leads to? It leads to Iran. All right. So from the Caspian Sea to the Red Sea. So it tells you in between the Caspian Sea and the Red Sea. The Red Sea is under Saudi Arabia, which is under Iran. But it lets you know that it's speaking of Iran. So Persia. Persia is your Iranian people. Okay? So now, when you start putting it together, you say, okay, wow. The Persians are the Iranian people. So it tells you right here with Gog, in verse 5, Persia is going to be along with Gog in this war. But in some teachings, some people in Israel, the Israelites, are teaching that Gog is the Iranians. How is that possible? Some Israelite teachers are teaching that Gog is your Persians. Gog is the Iranian people. So when World War III popped off, people are waiting on Iran to be the leader of all this, when it says clear as day that Gog is Russia. And Russia is showing signs right now in prophecy that they are the leader of this war. They are the leader of this push. All right? Give them the other information I have right here for the Persians. Go ahead.
We're going in about the Persians, and it says the Persians were originally a Medic tribe, which settled in Persia on the eastern side of the Persian Gulf.
Okay, so here we go. So it says the Persians were originally a Medic tribe which settled in Persia on the eastern side of the Persian Gulf. So let's go back to our picture. Let's find the Persian Gulf. What's east of the Persian Gulf? Iran's right there. So the Caspian Sea, and then what's east of the Persian Gulf? It shows you Iran. That's clear as day. So it shows you that the Persians is Iran. You can't get away from it. Y'all see that? That's simple math. All right? Finish that. They were
Aryans. Their language belonged to the eastern division of the Indo-European tribe.
So it tells you that their language belonged to the Indo-European group. All right? Go to Wikipedia and put in Indo-European group. Indo, I-N-D-O / European, E-U-R-O-P-E-A-N group. So you can see it for your own eyes. Indo, I-N-D-O / European, E-U-R-O-P-E-A-N group. Y'all got it? Go ahead, read it.
It says the Indo-European languages are a family of several hundred related languages and dialects.
So it tells you this language has many different types of people. Let's find out who these people are. Go ahead.
There are about 450 Indo-European languages and dialects. 445 Indo-European languages and dialects. According to the estimate by Ethan Locke, with over 2/3, representing 313 of them, belonging to the Indo-Iranian branch.
So it tells you that this language belonged to the Iranian branch. Well, go ahead.
The Indo-European family includes the most current languages of Southeast Asia.
Okay, so now it tells you that along with the Iranian branch, the families that are a part of this include South Asia. Go ahead.
Europe.
Uh-huh.
And parts of Western and Central Asia.
So now you have South Asia, Now you have Central Asia. Go ahead.
And was also predominant in the ancient Anatolia, present-day Turkey, and the ancient Tarim Basin, present-day China.
So now today, present day, huh? So now present day, that means 2015. Right now where we at is China. So you have Iran, and then the families that are included, it's China. It broke down all these other people. South Asia, Europe parts, Western, Central Asia, but then it tells you today it's China. So exclude all those other people we just named, and it's China. So you have Iran, and then their family is China. So the Chinese people come from your Iranian bloodline. So now we already read that Russia's in Syria, right? A couple days later, Putin calls who? The Iranians, say, come help. Guess who else is here? You want to find out? Let's go. Go, give it to him. Report claims.
Report claims.
Go to Google. He's going to give you another article.
So the name of this article is Report Claims China Warships Dock in Syria to support Russia's alliance with Assad.
Read it to him again, but give it to him slow so they can pull this up.
Report claims China warships dock in Syria to support Russia's alliance with Assad.
Okay, so the article says, did y'all get it? Report claims China warships dock in Syria to support Russia's alliance with Assad. And when you go to this article, it says September 26, which is last week. Read the article.
The article starts off by saying there is absolutely zero question Russia is positioning for a proxy war with the United States.
Read it again and read it very slow so people can understand that what time we're in. Read it.
There is absolutely zero question.
Don't question this. So we already read Romans 3:1 earlier. Don't question this. It's happening. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. Go ahead.
Russia is positioning for proxy war with the United States.
Russia's coming into Syria and bringing Iran and bringing Iraq and bringing all the Afghans that we read in Revelations 9 and 15 with him, because he's the prince. Russia's the prince. He's God. And I'm going to bring everybody in to help me. And they are getting ready for war against the United States. That's what this article just said. Go ahead.
In fact, many current events indicate Russia is already at war with United States interests. Take Ukraine, for instance. The U.S. wanted Ukraine aligned with NATO, while Russia pushed against.
So, United States was trying to get Russia not to go into Ukraine, but we all know Russia took down the Ukraine and took over the border. But the U.S. was trying to get them to keep the border aligned with NATO, but it didn't happen. Go ahead. So they've already been at war, but it's been an undercover war. Now this is going to get big. Go ahead.
The result was civil war with Russia invading eastern Ukraine and U.S. backing forces pushing from the west. Now Russia is moving warplanes and military infrastructure into Syria to support Assad. Russia is also reportedly working with Iranian interests in preparation to confront ISIS alongside Assad. This is in and of itself is incredibly dangerous. This means Iran and Russia will be fighting for Assad while the U.S. fights against him.
So like I said earlier, it says that Iran and Russia will be fighting for Assad while the U.S. fights against him. All right? But go ahead and say it gets worse. Go ahead.
But it may be getting worse. Much worse. A new report claims a Chinese aircraft carrier docked in a Syrian port while a Chinese guided missile cruiser anchored not far away. The report implies China could be preparing to join Russia and Iran in Syria.
So that sums up what we've been talking about. The last couple of years, been telling you that Russia, Iran, and China will be the three that will take America on in World War III. And as the war goes on, Iran will be the place that will send the nuclear missile over here. But the war itself over there in the Middle East will be Russia, China, Iran taking America out. And then when they're just completely tired of America, then they'll send the missiles over here to take America out. Let me read that last part again. It says a new report claims a Chinese aircraft carrier docked in a Syrian port while a Chinese guided missile cruiser anchored not far away. The report implies China could be preparing to join Russia and Iran in Syria. So it tells you that China is about to join them also. So now we have a problem, you guys. You got Russia, China, and Iran in the same area on the same team, and America's in the mix. And the sad part about it is, you guys, is that America's always involved in something that don't got nothing to do with America. They over there in Syria worrying about these guys that's trying to take Assad out, don't got nothing to do with America, but then yet they're about to get taken out over some business that they shouldn't even have no part of being in. At least if you're going to get drug into World War III, at least let it be something that's happening here in America. That's stupid, right? But America is about to go to World War III and get taken out. That's the sad thing about it. They're not going to just go to World War III. Listen, America's been successful in all the other wars, but this one, nah, they're done. That's too many big wigs. China's a big wig, Russia's a big wig, and Iran's a big wig. That's why America has U.S. embassies everywhere in the Middle East except Iran, because they have always been scared to run into Iran and try to take over because they knew Iran had stuff for them. So why is this happening, you guys? It's this prophecy of the Bible, and it's time for us to wake up and realize that that war is close. You got to start paying attention to what's happening. Every day that go by, at any moment, we can get a news flash saying America's at war with all three of these guys, not just one. America, we already read where they says they are contemplating to where they should go in there and defend the rebels that they train. And if they decide to do that, you guys, that's immediately war. Right now. All right, the last scriptures of the night to show you that America's not going to win this war. We're just going to read it, even though a lot of you already know it, just to show you that America will not win. Read Jeremiah 51:6.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 6, and it reads, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul."
So it says, flee out of Babylon. Babylon is America. Flee out of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. So every man needs to deliver his own soul when he flees. Don't wait on Moses. Don't wait on somebody like that to come try to get you. It's time to go. Go ahead. Be not.
Be not. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Most High's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Verse 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Most High's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad.
So Babylon, which is America, America had been a golden cup in the Most High's hand. So America's been considered the charm that made all the earth drunken. So all the earth drunken means America's gave the rest of the world drinks like, hey, come party with me. And the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. So now the nations, now that they've drunken of the wine of America and did things with her and did business with her, now the nations are mad at her. So Russia's done business with America. They're now mad. China, we know they've done major business. Everything you read that's in America says made by China. They've done much business, but they are now mad. Okay, so these nations are upset with America. Verse 8.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 8, and it reads, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, be she may be healed. Verse 9. We would have asked Babylon, but we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country.
Everybody go back home. America is the only place that has every single race here. Asians, Chinese people, Iranian people, Arabs. Everybody's here. But it says in verse 9, we would have healed Babylon. So it means once America gets hit, America's not going to be healed. All right? Verse 8 says you can take balm for her. You can put some Neosporin on her all you want if you think it's going to heal. But it says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Nothing can heal her once she gets hit. And let everybody, Asians, go back to Asia. Arabs, go back to Iraq. Everybody, go back home. So-called African Americans, y'all not from here. We're not from here. Go back home, which is Judah. Judah, go back to Jerusalem. Go back home. Let everyone go back to his own country. Verse 10.
Finish it up.
No, go ahead. Verse 10.
Verse 10. The Most High hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Most High, our power.
So when people say, well, where should we go? If we leave America, America's the big baddest place. Where should we go? It says declare in Zion. Come and let us declare in Zion. That means Jerusalem. Go back home. Go back to Jerusalem. Verse 11.
Verse 11. Make bright the arrows. Gather the shields. The Most High hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon, to destroy it. Because it is the vengeance of the Most High, the vengeance of his temple.
So it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Most High have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. The Medes is your Persians. So when you look up the word Medes, it says Persians, which is your Iranian people. So it says, gather the shields, make bright the arrows. Make bright the arrows mean, so Jeremiah in his prophecy, he was saying arrows. Okay? But in our day and age, when you see something go up and come down, what is it saying? It's a missile. It's a nuke. A nuclear missile that's going to go from one area and then fall in another one. So that's what he was seeing in his vision, was an arrow, but it's really in our day and time a nuclear missile. And the person that has the nuclear missile is the Medes, which is the Iranian people. Okay? So this is why America, 4 months ago just made that deal with Iran, 3 months ago made that deal with Iran that we can come in, we'll take the sanctions off of you as long as we can come in and investigate what you guys are doing, because everybody is saying that Iran is building a nuclear missile, right? Even Israel's Netanyahu, he's losing his mind. He addressed the UN the other day. He done lost his mind so much when he addressed the UN the other day. He didn't talk for 42 seconds. He was saying something, and he paused for 42 seconds and looked at and stared at him. And they're like, what's wrong with him? Because he done lost his mind. But everybody knows that Iran is building a nuclear weapon. So that's why America made this deal with them 3 months ago, trying to tell them we'll take the sanctions off of you guys as long as we can come in and violate your privacy anytime we want. But America, last precept of the night, let's go to Isaiah. Let me show you what Iran thinks of that deal America tried to make with them. Let's go to Isaiah 13 and 17, I want to say. Yeah, Isaiah 13 and 17.
We're in the book of Isaiah.
Let them get there. So America tries to make a deal with Iran and say, hey, we'll take the sanctions off of you as long as you let us come in and check out what you guys are doing at any time we want to. But if Iran was in with America on this deal, why would they be going into Syria with Russia right now? That lets you know that they're not with America, right? Because if they was with America on this deal, they wouldn't be going into Syria right now. Isaiah 13 and 17 tells you what Iran thinks of the deal. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 17. And it reads, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it.
So it tells you that he will stir up the Medes, which is Iran. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So these guys don't care about your money or your sanctions that you're trying to take off of them. They will have no delight in it. The Spirit of the Most High is going to raise the Medes up against you, and no matter what you try to do, Obama, deal-wise, to keep them calm, they will have no delight in it. So this is why we see what's happening in Syria. Okay? So you guys, I just wanted to recap this information because now it's here. We did the lesson in February. Everybody kind of, you believe it, but then you don't. But then living in America, since it was February, we go to work, we make money, we pay bills, we have fun. So we get a little blindsided on what's happening. So for the last 8 months, you almost forget that what we talked about in February is actually coming. So you get comfortable again in America, you start chilling, relaxing, and the Spirit says, wake them up again and show them that this time is here now. It's not coming. See, in February I said it's coming. It's not coming no more. It's here. At any given moment, you can turn the TV on and it's going to say war. And what are you to do? So through the Spirit is going to guide us and tell us what to do. So that's why I advise everybody in here, tomorrow, it's the Sabbath, wake up and watch World War III Part 1 and Part 2 again, please. It got some of the stuff we talked about tonight, but it actually breaks down all of Ezekiel, 38 that we went into, and then it breaks down all of the Jeremiah scriptures that we kind of went into today with more in-depth information. Watch it, you guys, so you can get more of an understanding of what's about to happen and the people that's going to be involved. And that way, when you start seeing different and more groups jump on Russia's bandwagon, then you're going to be like, wow, the prophecy of the Bible is so real. All right? So for any new listeners, go to Nazarite Without Walls YouTube page, and that's where you can find those videos at. All right, so we're going to close it out. We'll say Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High, and let's go ahead and pray it out.